Crystalline Awakenings here to help you guys uplift your souls and just be the best versions of yourself. So reprogramming your subconscious mind. So in the previous videos, I talked to you guys about a lot of stuff that I've learned on my journey on how to be the best version of yourself and live the most fulfilling life. I talked about 5 things that I would recommend you guys doing that I learned from my experience of the last 10 years, just being on my own journey of trying to be the best person that I can be and enjoy the life that I have. Because before I did not do that. I went from feeling like I was always lost and confused and not having a purpose to living an exciting life and an abundant life and manifesting exactly what I want in my life, which was to travel around the world, which I think I've been to almost all the continents. I know I've been to at least more than 20 countries, or almost. I'm getting there. And there's so much more traveling that's in my future. I had my dream wedding. I found my soulmate, and I'm having this amazing business that I'm living out my life purpose and changing the lives of other people. So life is amazing. And I want that for you guys too. So what I talked about like letting go of all those past programming that we probably have gotten from our family, from society, the educational system that we grew up in, things like that in our culture. There's a lot of good things. I love culture. I love learning about different countries and cultures and how they live their lives. It's very different from what I experienced being raised here in the United States. I am Filipino, but I was raised with some of the culture of the Philippines, but mostly I was pretty Americanized with my family. But I'm happy. I was just interested in learning about other cultures, and now I'm actually interested in like learning about Asian roots in different countries. Like I love the Japanese culture, Chinese culture, and all that good stuff. But that's besides the point. All those things are good, but at the same time, there's a lot of limitations too that we could learn from the cultures that we're raised in and whatnot. So I really recommend, like from what I learned and seeing in other people, that let go of the things that don't serve you and just do what feels right in your heart and what you're guided towards and what your soul is yearning for. If it's calling you to travel, if it's calling you to do philanthropic work, or if it's calling you to go a different career, or whatever it is, go do that and just let go of all those thoughts or those fears that might be holding you back from what you really want to do in life. Another thing that I talked about was understanding where are you right now currently on your life journey, because you have to understand where you're coming from to know where you want to go. And an example I made was, like, I love traveling, so a good example is thinking like, okay, you have to know your destination, right? But you gotta know where you have to begin, especially if you're having a travel agent help you get your trip all together, right? So, okay, like if I'm here in Detroit, I gotta know like, okay, what's the closest airport that is to me, right? Like my beginning destination. And then where I want to go, my destination, for example, a place I want to go to still is New Zealand. All right, so we got to know, okay, where do I want to go in New Zealand? What's the closest airport, right, that can connect me from Detroit over there, right? So maybe I have to do other stops in between. That's just how life is, that you have to know where you're going, know what you have, where you're at, right, to know where you need to go. And that's another awesome thing that just about letting go is like, don't focus so much on the destination, focus on the journey, enjoy the journey. You really learn that when you're traveling too, that yeah, you could be so anxious to get to a certain place, but a lot of times things don't work out as you planned, and you have to learn how to be like flexible and adjust and adapt to what happens, like especially weather is something we cannot control. That is one thing, and there could be delays in your flight, right? Like that's happened a lot. So now, like when that happens at the airport, like I just enjoy the time. And when you do that, when you let go and stop being anxious, like I see a ton of people always around me in the airport where they're just so anxious or they just keep complaining the whole time, it makes the wait so much longer. But if you just let go, get something to eat, enjoy who you're with, talk about some interesting stuff, meet some new people, time goes by so fast. So that's just another thing about letting go. And then 2, okay, know where you are and you want to get to destination. And then number 3, create your story. And once you like let go of all this stuff that is not you, right? If you know, if your parents told you like your whole life, oh, you gotta be this, oh, you gotta do this, you gotta do this with your life, this is how life has to be. But if it's not what you want, when you let all that stuff go, your life is open to all of this amazing stuff that your life can be. And that's when you can finally create the life that you want. And that's really just an answer that I found to a question I've had my whole life is, why am I here? Like, what makes me happy? Like, what excites me? And that really brought the answers to me. Like, really letting go to all that stuff that I thought, like, it just like all these obligations that I thought I had to abide by and do all this stuff that it just wasn't me. It didn't make me happy. It made me miserable. And I really encourage that to all of you guys, that could just be one little simple thing. It's not the easiest thing to do. It might be one of the hardest things that you do. It was for me. But when you do that, you really will just change your life completely. It will. And it might be very scary. I just had a couple days ago an instance where I was just letting go of all this stuff that I thought I got rid of, but it just popped out of nowhere in my subconscious mind. And like I started freaking out, but I let it go. And it's just like, wow, I am excited to see what the next part of my journey is all about. To really just let go of a lot of things and just travel the world and see where it takes me. You know, so that's just something that's coming up in my life. And for you guys, I just really recommend it. It's so freeing and liberating, and it's just amazing. And just to finally be at that spot, that place in your life where you can create who you are. And I found that by talking to a lot of people that I have over this last decade of my journey of finding who I am and talking to people who are on the same journey as well, trying to find out who they are. A lot of people have said that, you know, it's not about finding yourself. It's really about creating yourself. And it's an incredible feeling. It's very empowering, to say the least. I think that's one of the most greatest things of that experience, of realizing that it's all about you. It's in your hands. What you want your life to be, who you want to become. And that's just the whole process of life, is when you realize that fact, life is incredible. It really is. And when you realize that you are in control of your thoughts, you are really in the end in control of what happens in your life, how you react to life, how you make the most or the least of things that occur to you in your life. It's pretty incredible. It's pretty incredible. That's all I could say. And I can't just tell you guys to believe that and that's it. You have to experience it yourself to really know the power of truly just accepting that fact that you can create your life. I can't describe it in words, the feeling of that. So another point I suggested, and I talk all about all this stuff in like a new book that will be coming out soon that I wrote. And this is actually, it's kind of small, but I actually put together, like, I didn't want to put all this fluff in there, but this is just really just like a summary of what I've learned in the last 10 years of my life, and the main points and the main commonalities that I've just seen just studying like all these different people who are experts in like the field of psychology, transformational coaching, and personal development. And like with my experiences and the research I've done over the last 10 years, yeah, I'm just talking about this stuff that I learned And I wrote in this book, The Own Within, how to become the best version of yourself and how to live life to the fullest. And so another point that I believe I talked about in the previous videos is when you start to create your life and decide like who you want to become, this just falls into place, which helps you on your journey to just enjoy life and live life to the fullest, is loving yourself. And I mean, like when you create exactly what you want for your life and you realize the more you do that and the more you stand up for yourself and what you want to do with your life and who you want to be, you end up loving who you are. And I think that's really the answer to a lot of problems that I think a lot of people have. And I know that for sure, like being in a place where I was before this journey that I went on and trying to discover who I am. I hated who I was. I wasn't happy with who I was. I hit a really low part of my life, probably the lowest in my life ever. And I was in this deep depression, and I realized, why was that? And I see this align and be parallel with so many other people's experience of like not being happy with life, hating who they are, is because they're trying to compare themselves to everybody else. And they try to be like everybody else because there's so much pressure to do that in life, right? To be like everyone else and to just fit in and think you know everything and all this stuff. And when you let that all go, life is just so much easier. And then when you try to decide really like what you love who you are. And when you do that, you start to appreciate life more and appreciate just the beauty of everything and everybody. And another point that will lead up to as well, once you get to those levels of awareness and consciousness, like that affects the world around you and how you see the world. And then things start to die, which you can look at it like I see a lot of people talking about this as like the death of the ego. This is a pretty big topic too that they talk about in the area of like psychology and personal development, is that ego, which a lot of times it can prevent people from moving forward in life, trying to be more open-minded and to change and stuff. That ego comes into play. That aspect of the self it can be a very powerful aspect of the self when you learn how to use that to your advantage. But a lot of times, a lot of us are not even aware of the ego, and a lot of the time people let that part of themselves control themselves, and it's not serving. Or you don't know, one, if you don't know if it exists, two, you don't know how to control it or use it to your advantage. So it is left, like if you don't explore that aspect of yourself, it's left to just leave you like it doesn't serve you. It doesn't help with other relationships in your life. It doesn't help if you want to be better or change or try to just serve the world the best that you can. The ego is there to protect you. Yes, it's there to help you have kind of like a self-identity of who you are. And the ego is also there to help protect you from situations that, maybe long time ago, not you, but like the human self, the human person, had to be aware of so many different things than we have to be aware of today, right? Like thousands of years ago, they didn't have technology to, you can just stay in one place and then all this information can be accessible to you. Or let's see, like before this stuff was only passed down from generation to generation. They did not have libraries before, or before people had to hunt and gather food and supplies, and they had to find shelter Nowadays we can kind of just stay in one place and we don't have to really go that far. Depending where you live, if you live in a city, things are even more accessible to you compared to if you live in like the suburbs of a developed country or something. Things are just more available. But before, you had to probably take more risks to make your food, grow your food. A lot of times even you had to rely on nature, right? If there was no water, you had a famine, and probably a lot of people died because there was not enough food. You know, we kind of, like, if you're in a developed country, even in like other countries too, like food is just more accessible than it probably used to be if you just live in, you know, like if you just live kind of in like a jungle area, or if you know, in the past, like just lived in like the grasslands of the United States, where there's just not a lot of people around. You just have small little colonies of people really spread out, and you just have to rely on what's available, right? So like in those times you had to use different skills, right? And I learned this in psychology. They said like this part of the ego is kind of like the part of the brain where it's not that developed compared to like our frontal cortex, which is up here in the front of your brain, which is more developed and it's more recent. If you look at human evolution, this part of the brain was developed more than probably this back of the brain, the part of the brain back here, which is more, that part of the brain really supports like our everyday functioning, like breathing, like basic needs and things like that. Breathing, alertness, knowing if there's danger, like controlling the heart rate, all this stuff, like that basic stuff, right? But in more recent times, we are more like, we're in the knowledge age where this part is more developed now because we are just more like, life is just, you just need to process stuff more, and all this stuff, like remember all of this kind of, all of this knowledge if you especially go to college, all this thing. So regarding that, that part of the ego is the less developed part of the brain. And if you aren't aware of this, you know, those kind of behaviors that come out could be those less developed parts of the human consciousness, you know? So you know, it's good to be aware of that part, because you can mold it. You can mold that part of the brain, which can be considered the ego, saying that, you know, I need to protect myself from these circumstances. So, okay, that can probably lead to like, oh, I'm not skilled in that area, so I'm just gonna avoid that stuff. Or like that could just affect so many other things of your life. So a thought that is kind of like, it could be of new age thinking, could be, oh, I need to let that ego die. Like, it's called ego death. I'm not sure if you are familiar with that term, but if you let that die, that image of who you thought you are, or like the basic capabilities that you have, because maybe a certain part of your life you only have to focus on developing certain skills and whatnot to you know, get around the world, do the stuff that you were trained to do, such as just go to school, do things at home for your family, probably get a job. But as you get older and you challenge yourself more and you want to accomplish so many more things, you need to enhance your capabilities. You need to enhance your skill set. You need to enhance your thinking. Of most importance is the mind. And when you develop your thoughts and who you are, and you want to surpass what maybe majority of people are doing around you to create the life that you want, to achieve what you want to achieve in life, you have to enhance this. You gotta enhance your thoughts. You need to raise your standards for yourself. And that's where all of this that I just talked about in these last couple of videos is really just the core of what I try to teach people, which is you have that capability to become whatever you want to be. You have the potential. And I think most of us, we are getting to that level in our lives where we want more. And especially a lot of us are very blessed to have all those basic needs met, right? That possibly like our ego and, you know, the old ancient parts of our brains, all of that stuff is already satisfied. But now in this time when life is getting more advanced, technology is becoming so rapidly different every single day, new advances are coming out, life is getting to a point where, oh my gosh, there's more that can be done. And with technology these days, we can connect with whoever we want in this world, and it's amazing. Like, if I just need something simply done for my business, right? For instance, I need some videos edited. Like, I need this video edited right now. I don't know those skills, but I can easily find someone online through different sources easily and at like a pretty affordable price that is like on the other side of the world that can get this done for me in like an hour or something. It's incredible. So like when we have these things in our disposal, in our hands, that is just so easily accessible, of course we're gonna want to there's so much more that we can do. And the human brain is so incredible that it's easily adaptable as well. And within the last couple decades, probably even just this decade, I think the last couple of decades in the fields of like science and psychology, they realized that the brain is so flexible. It's called plasticity, that it's able to be molded and shaped to what we want, and it's adaptable. Not like the knowledge that was known a couple decades ago, just before this time period that it was discovered, that they thought like the brain could only be capable of certain amount of things just for basic life, like just to maintain basic life and survival. But now with life getting more advanced, the brain is catching up, it's adapting, and it's pretty fascinating. So with this available, guys, there is so much more, like there is so much capacity in this brain of yours, in here, that so many leading scientists and the most brilliant minds, I think they've only tapped into like, what they say, I think Einstein was able to, like what they said, like Einstein was able to tap into only 10% of the brain. Please correct me, I don't mind in the comments below this video, but I believe it was something like that he was one of the few that was able to tap into the most capacity of the brain than usual human beings do. So imagine that. So you guys are capable of that. But it really starts with the brain. And when you try to get into more like metaphysical stuff, which is the stuff I've been really interested in lately, is like the metaphysical stuff. When you get more into quantum physics and all this stuff, like things that we don't see that affect our everyday living, when you start learning about like things like the law of attraction and stuff like that. I've been playing around with that ever since I actually discovered that like a long time ago, almost 8 years ago. But the last couple of years I've really been experimenting and really testing it out in my own life, and it's been working, and it's incredible stuff. And I'll be talking about that too in like later videos of mine. But when you really try to like get into that more, the capacity of the human being is limitless. And people are learning that. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. And science is really starting to become parallel, or like meeting each other and joining with like knowledge that was learned or that was known of a long time ago, that archaeologists and things like that are finding that ancient civilizations knew of this information, of the capacity of the human mind. And now like modern science, like of what we know, is merging with old science of ancient civilizations. It is pretty awesome stuff. So, with that in mind, I encourage you guys to start looking into all that stuff for yourself. Go whatever you are drawn to and like just get deep into it. That is like the best way to learn. That is the best way to enhance yourself, enhance your brain, enhance your life. And I am here to help you guys along the way, to guide you from what I learned were the best practices to help me, a person who's just, you know, I thought I was just an average person, but once I realized my ability and what I'm capable of, I realized, wow, so many more people can tap into this information. And if it works for me, it can work for you. And that's what I feel like I need to be telling you guys. I want to encourage you to be the best that you can be, to change this world, like this quote that I love, that I wake up to every morning when I get up. Be the change you wish to see in this world, by Mahatma Gandhi. If you guys want to see more change in this world, if you want to see this world be a better place, just stop complaining, stop waiting for other people to make that difference. You are capable of doing it. If you feel that things need to change, if you see problems in this world, be the one to solve it. Be the solution maker. Be the difference. And be the change. This is Crystalline Page from Crystalline Awakenings. I wish you guys so much success, so much love, so much excitement and fulfillment and happiness and success in your life. And I am here to help you along the journey. And I'm so excited to see what you will be doing with your life and with this information. And just go change the world. I'll talk to you guys soon. See you in the next video. And if you're interested in more of the stuff that I do, check it out below this video in the description box. I look forward to co-creating with you guys to make this world a better place. Talk to you soon.